No, it's Wednesday morning. Yeah, that can only mean one thing. Um, it's for time for relaxing. Hi, Vivian LaFleur. Could you let our tech expert know that it restarted and I pushed the wait for it button to record again, and maybe she could check to make sure. Yeah, maybe she could make sure that it's recording appropriately because I had to restart it again. Okay, so last time I was painting these rocks, I experimented with banded sandstone. That's what this looks like. And it turned out okay. I mean, I was concerned about this orange color, but once the wash went down it looks better. So these colors were a little bit vibrant, but they really toned down nicely. The only thing that I didn't really like is that there's two colors here, and they're really close to each other. And I put them next to each other to see if you could tell the difference, and you can barely do that. If you really look closely, you can see, like here, there's demarcation line. But other than that, it's banded, and it's around. And I did this little one with kind of an inclusion and an outcropping of a different kind of color, and then dark paint over that. And then this one was a bunch of experimental stuff with light gray with a dark gray highlights in various places. And I used our pearlescent paint to put a stream in, a waterfall kind of thing. That turned out kind of okay. This side was nice and craggy, so I was able to highlight some of these points and bring different colors in. So those were the rocks. Today, I found this guy way before I went out on vacation. There were two dragonkin. I painted one. There's this one left. This has, I don't know. I can either make it simple or challenging. There's just a lot of detail on the armor. I could paint highlights all around the edges of it. It's kind of fancy stuff around here on the rooms and the cauldrons. About the only thing, even the mace, okay, you look at it and say, oh, that's just a mace, right? No, it's not. It's like a demon head. So I'm gonna start working on this guy, and I don't know how it's gonna go because there's just a lot of stuff on it. I'm trying to see where his skin shows through. Hands and head. He isn't wearing a helm. Maybe under here a little bit, underneath the shoulder guards, there might be some of his skin showing. Tiny little bit here between the elbows and the bracers. See, even if the back of the legs are armored, it looks like. And certainly knee and shin under. The back of the legs here might just be the skin tone, so I have to decide what color to make him. I'm thinking I might make him like an emerald dragon. Let's see what colors I might have available for that. We have this pearlescent paint, which I can use as a wash. I could use this gold green. And kind of like there, golden green kind of. If I thinned that down and applied it over kind of a brightish green, maybe light green with the wash on it might look okay. I don't want it to get too brown. I want it to look lighter. This emerald is a nice color, but I think it's too dark and it wouldn't show the highlight. Otherwise, I've got the sick green, but I think that's got too much brown in it as well. So I think I'm just going to use this light green and then try the gold green over it. And that'll be near the end to decide what to do with the armor, though. There's just so much of it. So much of it, and it's all embellished. There's like chainmail under here. There's a belt. I don't want to get carried away with too many colors. But on the other hand, if I start losing the detail in it, that would miss the whole point. So, I don't know. I'm thinking if he's green, I might just do the green and silver kind of thing. Go with various silver colors, and then maybe use brass or gold, even some yellows or something like that to try to catch some of the detail. So I could put the base coats in, and then try to catch the detail later. So let's see what we've got in terms of metallics. Okay, yeah, I can do a flip. Is Huan? Do a flip as soon as I look at these metallics. This gunmetal, the Viejo color. It's a new one. That's pretty nice. See, there's a variety of them here, and I think I'll use those instead of the metallics. They are a little easier to work with. So there's 2 silvers, model game silver, chainmail, and gunmetal, and we can play around with those some, assuming I can find them, and use those to put this away. And use those for different shades. I can play with them, paint over them and stuff like that. So I'm going to put this guy on the holder. There. The thing to flip. I could flip a toothpick. That would be pretty boring, wouldn't it? I mean, it spins really nicely, but you can't tell what ends up. Be off camera or over to the side a little bit, looking for those silver colors. Silver. Game color. The 2 silvers, the model color and the game color silver, actually look quite different from each other. And here's some other metallics, like this bright brass. I might need that for highlight. gunmetal. So these are my metallics. These for the base coat for the armor. We've got all sorts of options for the highlighting later. So what we're going to do is a change. After using a nice big brush, I'm now reduced to using this oh look, there's 2 bristles in the brush. So I think I'm going to paint this. Okay, let's go back here so you can see what's going on. I'm going to start here under his chin. You know, what I'm going to do, just the way this model is put together, which is different than some others, is I'm going to paint the base coat on his skin first, because it's really, there are lots of really hard to reach spots. So that's a little bit different than what I usually do, but just given the nature of how this is put together and how it dives down deep underneath here, do that, especially down under here. So I said I was going to use this thing called light green. That's another Viejo color. And to our wonderful paint rack, look for green. Those are all pretty colors. Green. That one. Maybe. These are blues and purples. Thick green. Green. It's goblin green. And that's light green, the final green. Okay. So. What to do is you can, if you look at it, you can see the pigment has kind of separated. This is a fairly new one. We've got this wonderful, let's watch it happen. Paint mixer thing. So you put this on, and that spins rapidly and vibrates. It does a really good job with these Viejos because they're squeeze bottles. You can't stir from the bottom. Okay, so there, it is mixed. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to, you know, find the places that are definitely not armored. Okay, I just saw something. I need to fix this. This is, there's a really big mold mark. Let me put this back. Welcome back. Focus, you can see down the side of the leg here, there's a mold mark that goes all the way down the leg, and I want to get rid of that. And there's some on the other side too. Definitely want to get rid of that before I begin painting. And now that I've paid attention to that, I can see that there's one side here. Yeah, so need to clean those off. And what I need to do for that is the X-Acto knives, which used to be right there. And I went away for a month, and things aren't there anymore. So I muttered to myself, X-Acto knives so that I can clean those movements. Hi. While I'm doing that, meandering around looking for those, I'm going to once again say I had to restart it because it started showing and then it went back to the opening screen and I restarted. I want to make sure that it is recording. Wrong case. That seems to have disappeared. Oh, there it is. Wait another minute. The X-Acto blades rust. This one is a little bigger than I would like, but yeah, I should be able to get done what I need to get done. I'm not cut myself or anything. Usually these mold marks, they're really thin little bits of plastic, so they come off pretty quickly, but I start scraping at them. A couple of different angles to make sure I'm getting it all. The nice thing about this too is that while I'm cleaning these off, I'm not having to paint, and if I'm painting, let's see. It's underneath the model. No one would see it there, but why take a chance? Right here. Here we go. Other side, something underneath there. We can get to it. straps here holding the armor together. Over to the side, I think, usually straps like that are leather with like a little metal buckle on it. Leather doesn't have to be brown, so I might make those like emerald green or something, just to go with the theme. So it looks like the leg armor here all the way around the leg. It looks like the only skin that's exposed is down here, like at the upper thigh. And its feet. Rough skin and claws. Hands, little bits here that are showing. A little bit under there. Even here it's not clear. It looks like here there's a gap between this bit of armor and that. But when you go around, strips that come across there. I don't know. This is like a little challenging, trying to figure out exposed skin or not. Okay, well, what we'll do, we can, with what we can see, and if it doesn't look right, we can always repaint it. This guy back in sticky tack. Let's put out a little bit of this light green color, and we'll paint the areas that we know. Even after all that stirring, it looks like it's... Yeah, we'll just see how this goes. I'm going to use a slightly larger brush. I want to make sure I get coverage way down in there and around here. There's a lot of detail there. We'll deal with that with the wash. Let me get down in there before I paint the armor. Just a reminder, we're going to try to make this an emerald dragon. So I'm going to use pearlescent paint as a wash over this to give it kind of a shiny jewel-like appearance. At least that's the play out. Get under the chin here. And we get a base coat on. And part of another reason, besides just the way the model's done and how this skin part is down way inside the armor, is just trying to identify where the dragon flesh skin is as opposed to all the armor. And it's really hard to tell on the legs and the arms. And I'm intentionally getting the paint onto the other surfaces, which will be painted over, because I want to make sure I get this color. You don't have to go back and say, oh, way underneath there, I need to put a tiny blip of paint. That would be harder than I would want it to be. So yeah, that. Put this base coat on, a lot of those details just kind of disappear in the flat paint. But we'll pick it up later with like painting the eyes. And I'll paint those with something else and put it in, and then we'll do a wash and pick up the detail of the print. Okay, so the other thing we know demon head flail. The demon head, I can do the demon head of red. That would be a nice contrast to the green and the silver. Rest of the model. It's a demon head. So we can do what I've got, some nice reds and some almost a black red. And we could do the horns. It could make it look demonic. Do that before I start messing around with the detail on the armor, just because it's and you can see it. It might be fun to play with the detail on that. This handle, you know, this is a dragonkin. That's not going to be wood. That's going to be painted a bright color with some brass fittings. And the chain will be a metallic, like steel, because you want it to be strong. Say that this is the gap between the pieces of armor here, and that it goes like this. And that the elbow is loose, just for mobility, okay? The spiky part comes up over. You want to say the same thing is happening here. The bumpiness there is actually just part of the way the dragonkin's elbow is formed. We'll see how that ends up looking later. And then I think there's this little area under here. Armor back here. Looks like it comes up. Here's the front. It comes up to right about there. I think there's some sort of knee armor. Kneecap armor in the front. Great. There's some mold material here. There. Before we get too much further, I'm just going around again to see if I've gotten the parts that aren't armored. Done. Anybody up there has contact with the axis. You want to check to make sure that this is recording, because like I said, I had to restart it, and I'm not sure that that worked the way it should. Okay. Take a second and look at my red colors. Demon, there's a scarlet red that we've been using a lot. That would be a good color. We've got this black red, and I think that would be really good for like the horns and the spikes. The horns and the spikes, because I could just make them black, but this would give them kind of a muddy reddish color. We could use something like the dark vermilion here if I wanted to do some brighter highlights. And I could do some things like eyes. I could do in black. Here. Mess around with the demon head next. Why not? A bit of the scarlet red left in this bottle. It's been hanging point down so that I can squeeze it out. I don't think I need to mix it. Anything in here even. Still some coming out. Very thick. Should be all right for what we're doing here. I want to put a base coat on the demon head, and then come back and do play around with the detail work with some darker colors. But it's not going to be bright red. It's going to be really, the scarlet red is fairly dark. They're going to be even darker. They're going to be red, black, and maybe even black. With the base coat, I can do this scarlet red. I used like way too much, but when it started to finally come out, it blurted out a whole bunch of it. So, well, you know, it's nearly empty. Now it's even nearly emptier. Good thing I'm doing this. I'm getting paint in places will be painted silver later. This way I can let it dry nicely before I start painting the highlights on it. This scarlet red should be a pretty good base color. And a lot of spikes. Top the head. That would be bad. Just the whole top. finding all sorts of places that are hard to reach. It's drying quickly, and the detail shows through well enough so that I can catch it and paint it with some of the contrast colors. So a little beard and most of these spikes I'm going to paint in that black-red color. But the main horns, these two, I'm going to paint those black. And in the eyes, you could have black eyes. But I think I want them kind of like piercing. Maybe I'll make them yellow. Almost maybe white. So. It's always good to check later, like there's a spot right at the top of his head that didn't get painted. I don't know if the paint pulled away or if I just missed it, but catch that before the paint in the palette dries. Okay, so I'll check the feet too. It's another area where it won't pull away. Okay, well, as I'm doing this, one thing that helps when we start doing the base coat is that you can start seeing some of the detail a little better. So I'm going to paint this collar part the darker silver color. And then I'm going to pick that same thing up for like just so that you can highlight them on the little shield parts here. Okay. I'm not going to overdo it for that to be like that. Most of the armor will be one color, but then there's other things. There's like a belt that'll be a decorative belt with a buckle. There's little decorative kind of details on some of these shields that I don't know how I'm going to try to pick that up, but I'll do my best. There's a lot of straps holding things together that I'm going to paint like an emerald green, I think. And the chainmail on the back here, that needs to be a different color than the rest of the armor. So I think I'm going to pick up like the shoulders and the knee, this part, and this in the darker color, just as sort of a contrast. Most of the rest of this will be a base coat of one color except for the chainmail. So we got the gunmetal I'm going to be using and the chainmail that I'm going to be using. And I have to decide which of these two silvers use as the base coat for most of the armor. Very, very shiny, bright. The game silver is kind of intermediate between chainmail and that. I think I could use the model color and just make it really bright. So that I can do the highlights in either like a darker silvery color or even like brass or gold. Okay, well, get out the bitty brush here. Start doing some of the metallic. This is the one I'm using. I'm going to start with the gunmetal. There's a really good guy. It came with the latest spec, the model color black. We'll be using these guys in the demon a little bit later, but first I'm going to start trying to put some base coat in on some of the armor. It's this darker silvery color. There's some plates. I'm going to start with this collar piece up here. Just trying to make sure I'm getting it as far as I can without getting onto the neck. There we go. And then I'll fill in the rest of it here. I'll be painting up to it. So again, down on the edges here, I want to paint down onto the next surface at least a little bit. So that you can get a nice clean edge. Right up in there, along the top of this. Sometimes with these shiny paints, you can't tell. Is it not painted? Or is it just a shiny spot showing? reflection or unpainted spot. Sometimes hard to tell. So that's metallic, but it's a nice dark metallic. So it will show up in contrast pretty nicely with the rest of it. And then I'm going to do that down here on these knee pads. These are pretty interesting little decorative pieces. And if it's dark, they'll show up pretty well. It also gives me a chance to do it's like this little starburst kind of thing on it. You have to decide what to do with that. And as I paint this, I can begin to see better where the edges really are. See that there's this strap thing on it that's holding it on, and that will be painted something else. This thing here. At the back of this. Weird. It's hard to, I mean, it looks like the armor goes all the way to here. That's how it, I mean, that's the way it is. It's, that's where the joint is, and then there's that chainmail there. Here. Then there's this, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Right there. It just doesn't look like it's part of this. Not part of it. We'll leave that because it doesn't seem to fit this nice triangular kind of side shield. Okay. So that's okay. Got that. And then we'll try to do the other one, which is buried underneath here. So it is a little indistinct. Compared to the other one. Got that strap there, but the top of it is not clearly molded. So we are going to make up a demarcation line here. And then play with that a little bit later, and off and on to get it clear. It looks like it comes up to about there. Underneath the demon head here, so be careful how we're painting that. And again, the demarcation line here isn't so clear, but it looks like there's another one of those protrusions just like on the other side, so it will be the other color. Yeah, I was debating about this, but I think I need to paint those darker just to give it a balanced look. Okay. So I'm going to paint these that same dark color. Do an embellishment. Anyway, we'll see how that looks. Can always change it. But I think that would go well with the collar. So that's what I'm going to do. Need a little bit more paint. Getting the contact points here. And the underside of them, because you can see the underside. I'm going to use a slightly bigger brush to fill the rest of that in. Let's go faster. Looks like this is getting a little beat up doing this. And get the margins here. Boundaries. Managed to touch the green there. Come back and get that little spot. I wish I could use it more often, but with these little mini figs, there aren't too many places you can actually use them. Yeah, I think that's good. That balances with the cowl pretty well. These shoulders look good on that cowl. I think what I'm going to do next is just continue with the contrast colors. I'm going to do the chainmail skirt down here, front, and then the rest of it is going to be basically that silver color, bright light silver. Just have to use different straps, brass or gold or something, just to do that. But I don't want a whole lot of colors on this. If you get too many colors, it just starts looking kind of weird. You always add, different contrast colors later. So I'll wash this off, and then I'm going to take the other brush. I'm still thinking of it. There might just threw on the floor. Some light green left. Filter before I forget about this tiny little thing, but actually end up showing a little bit here too. So this is the base color. I'm going to do the chainmail part, just so I can get the contrasting colors in place. Use chainmail silver on chainmail, right? So with the chainmail, we've used a little tiny bit of black wash to highlight the texturing of it, and we end up doing that here too. But it's just painting this a different color so that it contrasts with the rest of the armor. I'm just going to paint the whole underside this chainmail color. I mean, it has to be painted something. And why not this? Do it in the front as well. See what I mean under here? It's as good a color as any to do this. And I'm just, since I've got this out and it takes the wash really well, I'm going to paint the chain mail as well. Those are spots that are like mist. And there's a lot of that red left, so when I'm done with this, I'll touch up those little spots underneath from the bottom. Got a little silver, too much silver on the head, so yeah, the scarlet red will come back out again, just a little touching up. Try to find out where the chain is and where the head is. And got a little bit of silver on the red, so we'll come back and get that. Finish painting the chain. So I'll definitely be using a black wash on the chain, because I want to really bring out the texture of the chain, right? And it wouldn't be this bright, probably. There's always the spots in the back. I should learn to do that. Just to do the back first. Okay. So I'll just wash this off and then I'll retouch up the demon head. A couple of spots. One was underneath here. Spots that apparently never got painted before. So I'll touch those up. A little bitty one there. This paint is congealing badly. So we'll see how it behaves up top. And then just these little spots. Paint up to the silver. Cover the spots up. Just looking down at it. Yeah, those are pretty conspicuous. I got that, so that it looks okay. Look underneath. Get the spot that hadn't been painted. Didn't need to do that because that's going to be one of the spikes, right? It's going to get painted over a different color anyway. Yeah. So there's that. So this is going to get painted in a really bright silver color. And I hope that looks okay. Other than for like, I'm going to leave the belt and the belt buckle. Some of these straps that have to be painted different color. Will not paint those completely over. Actually, what I'd like to do before I take a break is finish up the demon thing. Thinking it would look good, better than black, on things like the beard down here. Because it'll keep the red, but it'll be very, it'll make it, give it the dark theme without it being just completely black. I will do the two main horns, and we'll do those in black. It's darker as it dries, so I think it'll work out pretty well. And it's got all these spikes all over the place, so I need to catch those. Nice and dark without being black. I'm just highlighting those protuberances. I guess I need to do scarlet touch-ups. And the big horns. I want those to be prominent. This is another nice flat color, so it won't be shining. I don't want them to be shining. But this is a good classic demon trope, right? Dark red, black horns. So let's not mess with convention too much. So there's that. I notice there's this one little white spot right in the forehead there. You could paint the eyes black too. I don't know. like the mouse here. Do what that means. Okay, try this. Put this on and see what we think. Brush. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what I want. There's a spot on the forehead. And you can either get the red out and touch that up. So it's shinier than the other, but it is what it is. Look at my reds. English color. I used that because I didn't want red. Nah. So that is big forehead. The thinking is sigil kind of thing. Well, very much or not, but it's just a shiny thing up there. just there. And it might not be anything, but anyway, I covered the spot. I could do something just to highlight the mouth a little bit. No, I just can't get the brush. It's not quite in the right way. Like dry brush a little black on it. Yeah, there. At least you can see it a little better. I think that worked. Okay, right spot. Again. I think that looks pretty demonic. I might try to do something with the forehead again later. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Do next, before I take a break, is I'm going to get out a little bit of the black wash. Just a little bit of it. And touch the chainmail and the chain. Just so that those are kind of done. And if they don't look good, I can repaint them and a little bit later. I'm going to do the chain first. Got way more than I needed. This chain. I'm just trying to get it in the chain links. That's really about all I needed. Now with the chainmail, I'm just going to brush it across real lightly. Maybe a tiny little bit of it. almost imperceptible. You don't want it to just end up dark like the other color. Just want to highlight the texture a little bit. So I just want to make sure it's recording. Is there a way you can check that? Yeah. Okay, because I had to start it twice. It cycled around. Okay, good. We're doing okay. So why not paint this thing? To what do I want? The bronze. That's a good color. Well, there's a pretty nice color. It's not as good as the grass, but it's got a good metallic look. And what I'm painting here are the end caps of this thing here. This is a good color for this because it gives it that nice rich metallic look without being overly shiny. So this back one's easy. I just need to make sure I cover it. I'll be painting up to it with whatever color I end up painting the shaft. In front, I need to be a little more careful with. You always turn it upside down because you always miss the spot on the bottom. Okay, now we'll do the other side. And this one comes up to the chain. So, yeah, I think I'm going to paint that black, maybe slightly glossy black. So let me look at what I've got here. Game color black is glossy, but it doesn't cover well. Use the Tamiya black, assuming I can. I haven't used that in a while, but I think I can find it. It's doing that. There's just little bits. Before I take a break, let's go ahead. Finish it. So, fiddly bits are kind of a pain, so we'll just take care of it. Get the hand right. You can't get a brush. It needs a little bronze. Well, I can't tell if that's the chain part. Well, that's kind of a fiddly, messy thing, but I'll do up to the hand here. This isn't going to be a very glossy black, but it won't be extremely flat either, so I think it'll look good. I didn't want it real shiny. But I also didn't want it real flat, so I think this black will come out okay. Looks really good against the bronze. It's a really nice color contrast, convergence, confluence. Yeah, the black and the bronze, it looks really good together. I'll have to remember that combination if we ever run into something similar in the future. There's always rotated because there's always spots that ended up being kind of missed usually in the back. In this case, right on the top. Okay. Well, we're making some progress here. Got the demon flail done. I think that came out okay. Then highlights on the armor. So now I'm going to paint the base coat on all of the rest of the armor and then try to figure out what to do about all the detail. The belt, I want the belt to be a good color. That got out and the bronze is still alive. Let me take a little bit of this and paint the belt buckle. To come back and redo that because I'm going to be painting around it and there's not much of it. But this will remind me of what I had in mind. It isn't much, it's just the top and the bottom. This will let me see how it contrasts with the bright silver that I'm going to use on the rest of the arm. So the belt, I want the belt to be kind of like its clan color, even more than up here. I'll look at the color chart and try to figure out what I can do with that. This is a good color. I like the gunmetal. That looks good up there. It actually shows, there isn't a lot of detail in that, but I don't need to wash it. Down here, it's kind of tempting. It's actually pretty tempting to use the bronze on that to highlight these. Now that you can see them better, that it's painted, you can see it really well on this one. This one, it's a little harder to see. It's not print quite as well. So painting that will be a little challenge, but I think I can use the bronze on that, and I think that would look pretty good. So after the break, I'm going to come back and use that some more, just as sort of a detail to see how that turns out. See to repaint. I don't see, there's not a need unless I wanted to paint like the middle one of these. I've done that kind of variation before. Let's paint this middle one bronze. But I don't see anything much on the shoulders that, other than maybe around the edges, which No, it's hard to tell if that's there. I might try to do that, at least around the front, um, not down on the bottom. It doesn't carry down on the bottom, but it kind of carries around here. It might be okay to do. I think I'll do that next when I get back. Is do some bronze highlighting on these things because that's a good color. It'll look cool against this dark silverish color, and then I'll start painting in the other base colors, and we'll just see how that goes. So I'm going to take a quick break here, and geez, man, okay, make a mess. At least it's still legible. Reprint that. Good thing I had paper towels. Okay. Well, that says better take a break. See you soon. took a little longer break than I thought I would because, yeah. Anyway, let's see if I can do some things without spilling more stuff. I don't know. So what I said I was going to try to do is do some embellishing on the darker silver here with this bronze color. I think it's going to look really nice if I can pull it off. And then what I'm going to do after that is, pull out the gunmetal again, without a doubt, to do touching up of the places where this didn't work out as well as I hoped. But we're going to start here with this, because there's this like pattern on it, a raised pattern, and I hope that by being careful, I can get the bronze on the raised part, like that, without getting it on the other. I'm doing the easy one first. There's one on the other side that is not easy to get to. But I'm seeing that this is this looks good. It's it's a little subtle, which is kind of a nice thing. But it highlights pretty well. Now there's more on this side, but this is underneath all sorts of stuff. It's actually raised a little higher. So parts of it are easier to reach and parts of it are not. But we're just going to put paint on the parts we can reach. Wing part that comes on. It's just really even hard to see where that is. You can see it there a little bit. I'm just going to, just kind of there. And just put a little of this bronze paint kind of where it should be. And we'll call that a day now. There's this kind of like just an edge. Just this little bit of an edge around the shoulder part that I think I can get to. And down. And it doesn't go underneath, it just goes up to the end. But again, it's kind of a subtle look, but I think it looks pretty good. So we're going to do that. Front as well. I like how this looks compared to maybe a bright brass, which would be really kind of ostentatious and distracting. So we'll do this side. Yeah, that does. Actually, that turned out really quite well, actually. I like how the color comes out. No, I said was middle one here of the paint. This as well. It's like the surface of it, kind of like a plating almost. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's, it's subtle, kind of dragonkin-y, but it's nice, rich color. And adds just enough embellishment and contrast, I think, to make it kind of interesting. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm really curious about how this is going to turn out. Is I'm going to mix up this gold green. This is a pearlescent color. These pearlescent colors are they're very thick, kind of globby kind, but they also are surprisingly kind of transparent. You don't want a lot of it. And what I'm going to do is take a little bit of it on the brush, kind of almost dry brush this, and I want to see what it looks like on the green. I'm going to do this foot. And what I'm seeing is um, it's actually pretty decent. I like how that's turning out. So I'm going to do the other foot. Like I said, it's almost like dry brushing it on. The feet have claws, so those need to be done a little later. Yeah, I mean that's not bad. So I'm going to continue this effort. I'm going to do the hands. I think this is actually working pretty well. It's giving it really rich, kind of almost iridescent kind of color. Because, for dragonkin, right? It should be like that. You don't want the flat green. You want it to look cool. And I'm going to do the head. I'm going to see how it looks on this texture. I think that looks okay. I'm going to have to do something, with the mouth and the eyes. And a little gold sheen, the highlights on the texture of the print. Way better than the flat green did. Anyway, yeah. Who knows how many times I'll have to do what after I mess up the eyes and mouth and things, but I think that's kind of a good look. Good look for a green jeweled emerald dragonkin. Yeah, so we know that kind of work. Now, got all of this armor. I'm just going to paint it silver and then come back and, I don't know, try to do something with it. Maybe some browns, maybe some reds. Mess around with a whole lot of colors. Some of this, like the belt, that'll be a thing. I'm going to do this, paint all the contact areas, right? And use the larger brush to fill in. Filling in to do. Almost white kind of silver paint, which may lend itself, I don't know, hopefully to we'll see. Not really sure how this is going to turn out. There's got to be some color. So why not shiny silver? It can then be, I can wash it. I can dry brush something over it. What I'm hoping, though, is that since it's a really light color, that it will show if there's like details in in the design that can be embellished later. I'm hoping that they'll be pretty obvious. They'll be fairly easy to reach and fairly easy to do. This part of the armor, yeah, there's nothing going on. And it's just what it is. So I might need to do a little wash on it or something to give it a little life later. I'm not sure. And we'll just keep painting the gray armor and make it silver. And if it's just shiny, well, then we got a real shiny dragonkin, and I guess that's okay because they can be shiny. At least the paint is, the paint is behaving. It's going on pretty smoothly. Not running all over the place. Is the skin showing there somewhere? I can't really tell anymore. Yeah, that was supposed to be green. Remember these pointy bits being kind of confusing when I first painted that before, so I'm gonna have to come back and fix that. These elbow areas are just, I don't know, just hard to tell what's where here. But I'm pretty sure that this whole elbow needed to be green, that needed to be exposed, so we'll need to repaint that and then hopefully do better on the other side. spending a fair amount of time here being off camera, getting these elbow areas right. And just see that being an issue. Paint up around the collar here. It's a pretty nice contrast with a darker color. Get the wristband part. Yeah, this is going to take some doing. This whole area here, both top and bottom, just difficult telling what's what, you know. The bottom part near the wrist is pretty well delineated, so that's not hard. But up there, up here, yeah, that's going to take some back and forth before we get that right. Just slip to the brush there. Have to touch up at the hand. Fortunately, the pearlescent was pretty easy to use, so especially just down on the hand, that should be pretty easy to touch up. Get the front here. And there's just this area here where it's just not clear. It's clear on this side. The armor kind of curls around underneath a piece of exposed dragon skin, but we don't have the same on that side. So there'll be some back and forth touching up with the green. Okay, now we'll go down here inside the belt buckle. Yeah, the top of the belt is there. Sorry, just trying to get this, figure out where the boundaries of these things are here. Like a strap that comes across there and here into that. I want to touch up a little bit in a few spots. I think I'll paint those whatever color the belt is, so I don't have a whole lot of different colors going on all over the place. It's always the danger in doing something that has a lot of kind of detail on it is to just suddenly have hundreds of colors all over the place, and then it just looks, I don't know, weird. Yeah, bump something there. Yeah, just little touch-up spots all over the place, I guess. As I look up, I can't tell where that is, right? Well, one thing you can say is that it's definitely shiny. There's no doubt about that. What I do with that is another story altogether. No matter where I go, it's off camera. Excuse me. Getting a little drainage in the workshop. Yeah, nose is running a little bit. You might say, well, it's not running very far because I can still see it on your face, but nonetheless, that's the phrase we use. There were some tweezers here. There's actually like a hair dangling down. Piece of the mold or plastic dangling or what, but anyway, I think we need to take care of before we're done. I'm trying to get all the boundary lines done, and I'm going to get a somewhat larger brush out and make sure that I'm covering things that need to be covered. Let's get that in there, and then let's paint stuff here. I like how shiny this is. It's a really nice color. Really nice bright white silverish color. I'm not really sure, what to do with it. There's little straps and embellishments and modules and this, that, and the other thing, but yeah, I don't really know. I'm not at all clear where this is going to go once I get this base coat in. Other than, doing touch up with the green and then coming back probably with a little touch up with this. The next step will be to get the green paint out again and do some touching up, especially in the elbow areas there where couldn't tell what went where. But what I'm doing now, I need a little bit up here to that gunmetal color. I need to decide what to make the belt. I'm going to do the belt next. Green. Just trying to make sure I got everything covered except the belt, which is going to be a different color. Need to do a little bit of the gunmetal touching up, but I'll do that after I do these strap things coming down from the belt. Okay, well, it looks pretty shiny everywhere. Clean these brushes off then, and do the belt. I haven't decided what color to do that though. I wanted it to be I'm thinking, what would look okay here? I'm tempted to use turquoise, which is really pretty blue color, but that might be everything else on here is fairly subtle. Even the shininess is sort of subtle. I'm thinking in the blue range. Let's see what we have. Turquoise is really dark. This is okay. Blue green might be kind of interesting. Right. Make sure it's too light. This light blue is kind of grayish. That might work because it doesn't, it doesn't, well, jump out at you as much. It adds a little bit of color. I'm just going to try that here anyway. So we'll give it a stir. Do the green touch up. Okay, well, yeah, this looks. I think this will be okay. Start on the back. Picking colors that aren't very much different sometimes than the primer. Good. It's on camera. That's kind of a surprise. Yeah, this might turn out to be okay. And the spotlight thing, there's a couple of them. It goes down onto the darker bit. Down in here. Excuse me. Oh, dripping is getting to be annoying. Fortunately, the stuff that needs to be touched up isn't the places where I did the bronze highlighting. So that's good. Look around, make sure I got the belt. Pretty well done. Maybe. Okay. Touch up the gun now. What I end up doing with this light blue is what I've done before, is I'm going to use the blue wash on it. It just makes it look better. And do that after it dries, of course. We need to get the green out again. Green touching, especially the head. They go back and forth too much. So we'll look down at the feet. It's okay. The eyes are okay. I think there was a spot on one of the hands. Yeah, right there. And just do what we can here and hopefully make it look okay. It's what's supposed to be what is just not clear, but it's pretty clear. Yeah, yeah. If we follow the curve of the armor, we need to do that. And we'll get out the glaze, the gold green after this dries, and reapply it a little bit so it doesn't look too flat. I think that's how this one is supposed to have been. And on the other side, we have the same issue that's going on here. Yeah, I'll have to touch that up again with the shiny glaze, but I think that's how it's supposed to be. And I got some little bits of silver. Let's see if that silver paint is still good. Yeah. So there's this little speck here. Near the bottom of the belt. For some reason up here, it just is an issue. There's another spot somewhere. I think over here. But the green got a little too far up. No, there's a spot. It needs to be greened. It's a good thing about just rotating something, and that needs to be silvered. So we're going to go back and forth here, just little bits at a time, until we are satisfied with the demarcation lines. And that blue's not bad. I think with the wash should look okay. Maybe a little more green here. Tiny little spots. These tiny little spots until I'm satisfied that the spots are the colors I want. Yeah, okay. So I put this stuff away for a moment and need to do something with the chest anyway. There's maybe I'll get the bronze back out again. And just highlight the tops of that texturing there. That just, I don't know. It kind of calls out for a wash, but I don't really have a wash that would work well in that. I think we ordered light gray. I don't know if that ever arrived. There's another kind of gray wash that I could try. Maybe on like the side of the leg here where it's easy to fix. Now, let me get out the gunmetal because I have to get some touch up of that. I'm going to try this. Let's see what happens. Now, what's happening is that it looks crappy. What I was trying to do was just catch the tops, very tops of these things. That one in the middle looks okay. These others just didn't turn out that well. Maybe it's the right idea. I just need to like touch it up some. Silver's fairly easy to work with. I mean, I can play with that a little. Yeah, let me just do these. This darker, and then come back with the silver and touch them up. Like the spots that got spotted. Let me get the full ridge into this dark color. And I can use the silver and come back onto it. I'll come back and try that and see what happens. I'm going to paint these dots back here. Same thing. And it turned out crappy looking, so I'll repaint that. Okay, well, it is worth playing around with a little bit. To the silver. I'm going to let this dry a little bit first. And what I'm going to do is get this blue wash out. Drop a bit. And I'm going to put the blue wash on the blue belt. And when I've used this in the past, it looks pretty good on light blue. It tones it down a little bit, brings out the texture a little bit. I'm being kind of careful with it because I don't want to get it on other stuff. So kind of getting low on time. And get the silver back out and try to touch up some of this, cover that back up. Do some touching up here. Let me see what I can do to salvage that kind of embellishment. And then to do something with the guy's eyes. Get the silver out first. Stakes. And do up here. There were some raised areas, and one of the raised areas could be the darker color. Mm-hmm. Okay, it kind of gives the impression of what I was going after. I'm just going to leave that kind of as it is and call it good. Now I'm going to do something with the eyes. Do this. Like the way that looks. It seems okay. This one need to touch up the little ridge underneath a little bit. So many touches of this little green. No, too bad. What am I going to do? Do I want to try to do something with the moose? Or should I just leave it? I might just leave it. Okay. So, try one more thing, which may or may not silver. It's got right on the front. Didn't cover the dark very well. Okay. I'm looking at these fluorescent colors. It's already shiny, right? Mm. It actually made a difference. So, what I was thinking of doing is grabbing one of these fluorescent colors. Do it on the back of one of these legs, just to try it. I have no idea how this is going to look. Let me try that. I'm going to try that. These might be really bad, but you can kind of wipe it off. This is neon purple, which sounds really inappropriate, but who knows? There isn't much purple in it. Take a tiny little bit of this. You could say that is kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to do that. So what this did is it gave it this, and it picked up some of the highlights, gave it this kind of gold. It just worked out. I like what happened in terms of what it did to the armor. I'm going to declare this victory. And say that this dragonkin is pretty well completed. Just about the time I wanted it to be done, because we're running out of time just as this is happening. Pretty good. Yeah, I just thought I'd try this. I wasn't sure what would happen, but it gave it a really neat kind of glow. Just sort of a golden brass, golden, I don't know, kind of cool. And then the bronze on the darker gunmetal there and there, I think that looked okay. And then the gold green wash on the dragon skin, I think that turned out okay too. Very shiny. Green dragonkin with a demon. It's the demon head. So there's that. You see it. Yeah. Okay. Clean off this brush. Take a drink of water. Thank anybody who had joined in and watched, whether you were lurking or participating in the chat. Appreciated you joining us for relaxing painting with dice and dungeons. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 until 2, sometimes a little later than 10. We've been slow getting started lately. I'm just putting some stuff away while talking. But mainly that time. And, well, who knows? I don't know what's going to happen Friday. I did the dragon guy, and we'll see what else we have that we could work with. I got bottles of paint all over the place that need to be put away. That'll be something else to do later. Anyway, join our campaign on Sundays on Twitch at 2 o'clock. It's a really cool campaign. Stay tuned for a holiday special. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm not quite sure how it will go. It has dragons in it. I know that. That's about all I know for sure, is that there are dragons, and it should be pretty cool. And nose is just way too glowy. Didn't do anything at all, did it? No, I'm not going to keep messing with it. Maybe that's what I'll do Fridays. I'll spend a couple hours fixing the nose. It looked fine from up here, but when you look at it straight on, the nose is, for some reason, really light. And I tried to put a little green paint on it, tone it down a little bit, but that didn't seem to help. just stays that way. Well, we'll see what it looks like after it dries. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, yes. Thanks for joining. We'll see you Friday. See you Sunday. Go to patreon.com/dice and dungeons. Support the show, and we'll see you soon.